I was I, I was in frantic mode.
Making shit happen.
That's it. You got to do whatever you got to do. I was getting ready just to dial you on the phone, but this is always better to have it on the computer. So, what's going on, everybody?
You're muted, sweetie. I don't know why you're.
Well, I'm muted because we had a moment in the parenting world right before this call as well. So I get to be on the phone while Charlie is in the bathtub. So that's why I'm on mute. So
yes,
life is life, and all
I know all about that. I'm glad you clarified that, Chad. When you first said I'm muted, sweetie, I thought you were talking to me. So I was looking to see what was going on.
You were unmuted, sweetie.
So what's going on, everybody?
Wins?
Yes. So I was able to finally close the 42K. I talked about 42K. It did take 40 days. So took 40 days, but 42K in 40 days. I mean, I kept talking about how, 30 days took a little bit to kind of close that out. And then I have another 6K right now that I'm trying to close. So it's pretty good. So that's basically pretty close to 50K in 50 days. It's kind of where I'm.
You can still hit 50K in 50 days.
I know. Well, yeah, absolutely. And what's so exciting about this is it's getting me closer to kind of this. I mean, again, this is just coaching, right? This is just the coaching side. But it's getting me closer to this, like, how do you create enough value, manage enough expectations to create a $2,500 a day coaching business. And so I'm kind of amping up some of my stuff from the waterfall, but to me, it's like I'm looking at what does $2,500 a day look like. I mean, it's kind of scary, but I'm looking at it in all different ways, both one-on-one, group coaching, and recorded content. So
that's awesome, dude. So what do you feel like made the difference? Because you were up until this month, like,
yeah,
I know you were gone for a few weeks, and then like
I was gone all the time. Just call it like it is. I took half the summer off, but yeah.
All right, so June or May? What was your May?
You know what? I think there was a couple things. Oh yeah. So are you saying just from the business perspective?
From coaching,
yeah. That's the craziest thing. May, $4,000.
Oh, okay.
So I 10x'd. I basically 10x'd, literally I 10x'd the business. And so I contributed to a few things. First and foremost, it isn't like, and I don't want, like, if anyone ever watches this replay later, or if you're sharing some of this content, I don't want anyone to just think like, oh, it's so easy to just 10x your business, right? It's not.
Yeah.
So I already had the skill set. I already had the resources at my fingertips. I already had the ability to do it. So it wasn't like I was starting from zero. Just a few things had to happen. One, I had to be frustrated and uncomfortable enough to say, like, this is it. Like, screw this. I'm done with feeling like in between, not feeling satisfied with what I know my output can be. That was first and foremost. But to get there, right, I needed a few things to happen. I got some clarity from the two of you in a lot of different ways. One, I just had a lot of my own, and it's funny when I always think back to this, because I've always been known as like the mindset, heart set coach, when I started to phase into this years ago. And yet my mindset was broken, right? It wasn't that I didn't have these moments of clarity where it was like, yeah, let's do this. And oh, I sold some coaching, or I did this, or I'm working hard for whatever that goal is. So I was still moving forward. I wasn't laying on the couch, wasn't watching Netflix, things of that nature. But I had some of these things inside me that were just like, man, I'm at full capacity. I'm working really, really hard. I don't even see how I can make more money than what I'm currently doing. Um, and one of the things that kind of came about in a session with you, Holly, was I realized that, you know, I was self-sabotaging. There were some things mindset wise that were holding me back because, and this is the crazy thing, so people understand this, I never thought it was possible in my life. I actually was fearful of success. And the reason is, and I've shared it with you, Chad, as well in my story, both of you, is, you know, I had some trauma. I had some things that happened to me in my personal life, just, you know, well, multiple times over a lifetime. So it all stacks up. But, you know, I had a breaking point right at the beginning of COVID. And it was like the house of cards, you know, come crashing down. And so I felt like, because at that point I was doing really well, right? I had built a multiple six figure at that time, multiple six figure coaching business. But I actually saw, like, I easily saw this is a multi-million-dollar opportunity for me. I was booked for the entire year speaking on stages. Spoke out in San Diego, launched at that time. It was my third book that I was doing a release on. My calendar was booked up. I was in high demand. Things were going well. People were reaching out to me for coaching. I was turning people away. It just all felt right. And when it came crashing down, that moment, I didn't realize it was like planting a flag in my life where it was like, man, what if it happens again? Right. And so I've been playing small. I've been playing conservative, kind of just, you know, I jumped into your program last year with the expectations to just go full tilt. And yet I was holding myself back because it was like, man, I'm kind of comfortable. Bills are getting paid, got, you know, some money in the bank, but I wasn't playing all out. And it was really because I was fearful. I say this, I didn't know that, but I was fearful of success again. And so that was the one clearing, being kind of fed up and pushing forward, putting some things in place that I realized that, yes, I'm a person that serves in a big way, but in order to make this work, I had to take a look at it from a financial standpoint, look at my KPIs and go, you know what? I need to do this for me so that then I have the ability to serve others on a greater scale, instead of it being the other way around, because I've always been one of those people that's just like, I serve. And so the other little pinnacle breakthrough point that I'll kind of phase into was, I talked to you both about, you know, I spoke consecutively on virtual stages 3 days in a row. Ended up with, I say 53. I think I was looking back through it, ended up being like 63 appointments over the course of 6 weeks. That's a lot of appointments. I was talking to a ton of people. I was super busy, completely buried. I felt like, man, I'm a rock star again. This is it. I'm like reaching, and out of all of that, I earned $2,000. So it made me realize a lot of things. It was still, I mean, there was still value there, right? So by no means, I'm not even trashing the opportunity. It was a huge lesson because I realized, one, I wasn't serving. How do I say this? I wasn't speaking. That's the word I was looking for. I wasn't speaking to my target audience. I wasn't speaking to my avatar, to my market. I was just speaking real broad, and then my offer wasn't directed to those that I wanted to spend time, like to truly be like spending that time serving them to get them to the next level, right? So they could see the same results I'm seeing. It was very generic. It was, I'll help everybody do everything. If you've got a business and you need help, you're looking for breakthrough, give me a call, right? I mean, it wasn't exactly that, but I'm kind of giving you the generic terms because I realized when I pitched it that way, at the end, my calendar got, I mean, completely full. And it was everyone from, what can you help me do this? Can you answer a few questions? What do you think about this? And then I became kind of a pro bono consultant, if you will, because I even took multiple phone calls after that, where I was like texting people, calling people, or they were calling me back and saying, "Yeah, it's got a couple questions. Can I run something by you?" And I wasn't closing the deal. There wasn't really a strong value exchange between the two of us, but it was a lesson learned, right? So had to get really uncomfortable, had to get fed up, and had to get drilled into my target market, get my own mindset straight, and then ask for the business, like make the offer. And it's wild. It's wild. One of the deals I was just sharing on a podcast I was on, I was just sharing that one of the deals actually came from somebody that back in January, I did a little boot camp and for $199, and they never attended. And they asked for a refund after months later. And they said their reason is that I picked really bad hours for them to be able to attend. And so then further conversation came to, well, why didn't you watch there was replays available for, limited time at that time. And that wasn't convenient either. And so we kind of drilled into it. And I actually said, all right, well, and it was one of the executives transitioning into the coaching world, right? Coaching space. So I said, let me ask you this, money's refunded. It's already refunded. And quite frankly, I'll still dig up the boot camp and send you the recordings. But let me ask you, what were you looking to achieve in the boot camp? Like, what is it you were actually looking for? And so when they had mentioned that, I said, okay, so you were looking to do that in exchange for what? Like how were you going to apply that to your business? What would have it done for your business? And that's when they talked about this transition into the coaching space based on their skill set. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, then maybe the conversation we should be having is, and that's where we went right into it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's funny how our refund can turn into that was a $6,000 deal. So pretty crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
$200.
Depending on how long they stay with you, it could be a $20,000-$30,000.
Well, that's it. Like, I'm giving you some interest. I'm even tweaking my numbers, right? So I'm giving you numbers like, $12,000 programs typically is what I'm looking for. I think that I can still amp that up. Ultimately, I think it's bigger than that. It's broader than that. And that's why my numbers are changing, because, I'm doing something a little bit different, right? On these last two deals, I did $3K up front, and then I did $2K and $2K, right? So that's really only $7,000 in 90 days. But I want to have the largest impact in those 90 days. I mean, I'm talking like all out. We're hitting this hard. 90 days, we go through all kinds of things based on, from the branding side right into their offer, right into how to grow their own pool or group, I should say, of people that they actually have the ability to present an offer to as well. And same fundamentals, right? Kind of a quasi things that I've learned over the years, things that you guys have kind of re-energized and taught me as well. So that's only 7K, but then I'm doing a $550 a month continuous program. So I'm only looking at it from a snapshot of 12 months, 12K, because I really want people to come in and think of this as like a lifelong relationship. But
that recurring.
And I'm giving them an opportunity, a discount, if they pay it all up front as well. So I'm looking at that.
So I wasn't going to necessarily use this, but it's just so good. So I'll just ask you a couple more questions and then we can jump into you. If anybody is watching this and they're like kind of on the fence of working with us, what would you tell them?
Okay. So there's a couple things. First and foremost, even if I think of it like in my own coaching experience and other coaches I've had in the past, more than just the fundamentals of like, let's break down a course on, how to find out who your avatar is, who your target market is, what is your offer, who is what platforms and how are you going to target or advertise your offer, like just all the basic stuff, right? Like if I just think of like coaching A to Z, the stuff that you see from everyone, you guys really took it like a step above that, and it's what brought me in. Number one, I'm very heart-centered, and what I saw from you guys, at that time, and I know you're working on, you've kind of changed your brand as well, but that whole quantum idea of like this heart-centered, the mindset, actually sitting there and looking at the big picture. I love that approach. And so if what I would say is, if you are on the fence of working with Chad and Holly, understand that number one, you guys have the best interest in what they're doing. Two, it's not just a transaction, like it's a true relationship. And you guys were so patient with me. Like if it was just transactional, we probably wouldn't be talking right now, right? Because because there were so many things I was still trying to get straightened out, and you were willing to even hit pause a couple times and say, we'll get that figured out, and let's talk again in another week or two. And so that to me just showed that meant a lot. And then I also love, and I kind of use that kind of the raw approach of, you just said Holly earlier. It's like you've got whatever screaming baby, or you got this going on, or kids, or whatever these issues are. Like you guys are as genuine and authentic as it gets, and it may not appeal to everyone. It may not, right? I even realized, like being the branding guy years ago, I used to think everything had to be polished and perfect, and so that really actually prevented me from moving forward. In a lot of different ways, or at least moving forward with speed, because I thought things had to be like, my courses had to be perfect, the verbiage had to be perfect. And I'm not saying that you guys don't deliver quality, because you do, but you also like have taught me again. You kind of brought me back down to earth, and you said, hey, you know what, we're a conglomerate, we're a group of coaches, a collective of coaches that we have the same mission, the same goals of like delivering a major impact with people, way above how great my material looks, right? Or how fancy, I'm dressed. I mean, I know some coaches that refuse to ever get on camera without wearing a suit and tie, right? There's just some of those big coaches like that, or a stage or whatever. But anyways, so with that being said, I see the value. I've experienced the value. I'll continue to do that. And I think that there's a bigger purpose, right? And that is that it's not just transactional one direction either. Like we're even now talking about, how can we collaborate together? How can we get on bigger stages together? How can we share our stage with one another? That's really important to me.
Awesome, dude. So if you're watching this and you want to have a conversation, we can book a call, see if it's a good fit, all that good stuff. I'm gonna just stop the recording and then start a new one.